All right, y'all, what's up, man? So look, um, Puffy, mainstream media, YouTubers, print radio, podcasts, any form of media that exists that was anti-Puff before the trial is still anti-Puff after the trial, up until this day. Today is November the 12th, 2025. Even though Puffy beat the feds at trial in New York City, fair and square, on his part, even though the prosecution engaged in prosecutorial misconduct throughout the trial, prior to the trial, throughout the trial, all the way through to sentencing, Puffy still prevailed. And a 12-member jury acquitted him of 3 charges that could have landed him in prison for the rest of his life. He beat him. But the attacks on his character, the defamation of his name, the slander, the libel, the flat out misrepresentations and lies that we saw before the trial, that were promulgated in order to get a conviction at trial that didn't work, are still going on to this day. It doesn't stop. They still trying to slander Puffy's name. They're coming up with these stories. There have been reports on TMZ that Puffy got busted drinking at Fort Dix in prison. This was one day. This is about a week ago. The next day, TMZ comes out and they backpedal on that allegation and say, we made a mistake. It was a rumor, it's false. Now, 2 days ago, they're back on it. Yep, Puffy was drinking at Fort Dix. This is what's going on, man. Now, do I really know definitively whether Puffy drank or not in Fort Dix? No, because I'm not there. But what I do know is that I've served federal prison time before. I wasn't in the RDAP program, but I knew a lot of dudes that was in RDAP. And what I do know about the feds is that when you get busted for an infraction, whether it's fighting, drinking, having a cell phone, contraband, protein powder, extra blanket, extra pillow, food out of the mainline, food out of the kitchen, 3-way calls, whatever, when you get written up, if that write-up is serious enough, there are different levels of write-ups. In the joint, we call them shots, right? You had a 300 series shot, which is the low end, a 200 series shot, which is the middle, and a 100 series shot, which is the high end for more serious offenses. My belief, my opinion, my speculation, my hypothesis, my conjecture, my guess is that if Puffy was busted drinking on the compound, which I wholeheartedly doubt, Puffy is in the RDAP program, Puffy is looking at being released. If he successfully completes the RDAP program, maybe being released at the latter part of 2026, He's going to get a year knocked off his sentence, plus a year halfway house. He's already done 15 or 16 months. This puts him at the door to come home and to begin his new life. I highly doubt that Puffy was drinking on the compound. I did an interview with his cellmate at MDC Brooklyn, and his cellmate specifically stated that he himself, the cellmate, was smoking weed at MDC Brooklyn, and that his bunk was right next to Puffy's bunk. Him and Puffy worked out together, they talked, they became closely acquainted, and when Puffy found out that he was getting high, Puffy backed up from his cellmate. And his cellmate went to him and said, "Yo, man, what's up, Puff? Why you not rocking with me no more? Why you ain't chilling with me?" And Puff told him, this is what the cellmate said. Go watch the video. It's on my channel. It's Raymond Castillo, Puffy's cellmate. The podcast was sold. Type that in YouTube. It'll come up. Puffy told him, say, "Yo, I can't be down with you and you smoking weed. I ain't with that no more. And stop messing with my man for about 2 weeks." This is all came out during the interview. So I find it hard to believe that Puff would wait to get to Fort Dix to have a drink. I just don't see that. I don't see it. What I'm more inclined to believe is that this is just the continued smear campaign to defame Puff, to thwart his attempt at an appeal. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals has already afforded him the expedited appeal, meaning that the appeal that Alexander Shapiro was going to do is going to go to the top of the pile, right? So when you don't want someone to win their appeal, you taint their name and you come up with the bullshit that you was doing before the trial to try to get him to get convicted. That's all this is going on here. There is no other reason for that. And what we do know, that Puffy has a lawsuit against Nexstar Media Group, against NBC Peacock, 4 documentaries that slandered his name. TMZ did a documentary, The Downfall of Diddy, that slandered his name. He's suing Nexstar Media, Ashley Banfield, Courtney Burgess, and Ariel Mitchell for $100 million. He's also suing NBC Peacock for their documentary, $100 million. And these people need negative press on Puff in order to help them with their civil suit that they're fighting with Puffy against in civil court, that Puffy is gonna win, because all the allegations that they said about Puff, none of it was true. None of it came out on the record at the trial. No homosexual activity came out on the record. No dealings with minors came out on the record. And Puffy was acquitted. So these people have to do anything and everything in order to smear his name. And that's what all of this is. But, you got to be mindful, and you got to look at things with a discerning eye. You have to look at it with a little bit of skepticism. Here's another point I want to bring to your attention. My biggest YouTube checks that I've ever gotten in my YouTube history was a result of the Puffy trial. The check that I got in June of 2025 and the check that I got in July of 2025, based on the views that I got in May 2025 and the views I got in June 2025, because our checks are staggered or delayed 30 days. The views you get in month A, you're not paid until month B. The views you get in month B, you're paid in month C. I got my biggest checks as a result of this Puffy trial. TMZ, ABC, CBS, all of the mainstream media, all of the podcasters, all of the YouTubers, all of the Facebookers, we all got our biggest checks as a result of the Puffy trial. Now that the Puffy trial is over, all of our checks, including mine, went from being way up here to plummeting. And we're back to where we started before the Puffy trial started. So what do you do in order to get your views back up so that you can make more money? You keep coming up with fake stories, you do a flashy thumbnail, and you put an inflammatory title in the YouTube, and you get views and clicks from people that are interested in Puffy, and you're telling nothing but falsehoods and lies in order for an immediate payout now. Sean G, podcast episode. Peace.